I really couldn't wait because I felt that it was so important to be seen to be taking a stance today, to be seen to be visible and vocal. And I was thinking about the moment that we are in, and I felt that today, as the world still reels from the news of the death of one of the greatest secular democrats that has ever lived, it's a particularly emotional and poignant moment. I stand here reminded of the heroic struggle waged against racial apartheid in South Africa, and yet find myself protesting against another form of apartheid that is also being justified with reference to that ubiquitous but flawed logic, separate but equal. Who would have thought that in the 21st century we would be protesting against policies adopted by institutions that should be in the business of producing and nurturing truth and knowledge, but which are instead endorsing the subjugation of one half of the human race? Who would have thought that in the 21st century, gender apartheid would become the new battleground? Words cannot fully describe what I feel today. Rage, indignation, and sorrow are just some that spring to mind. Ever since the Rushdie affair burst into our lives, as black secular feminists, Southall Black Sisters has stood tall in resisting the rise of religious fundamentalism in all religions. Why? Because we recognized long ago that the assertion of political religious power is taking place over the bodies of women, that the assertion of religious political power obliterates the very ideals of liberty and equality that so many people lived for and died for. That the assertion of religious political power diminishes our very humanity and prevents us from uniting against injustice wherever it occurs. We cannot allow this to happen. We cannot abandon the secular spaces that we have created based on the universality of human rights. Make no mistake, religious fundamentalism from Iran to India, from the US to Israel, is on the march and is gaining friends and allies. It seeks to colonize women's bodies by capturing public spaces, especially the field of politics and the field of education. It forces us to retreat into straitjackets, which prevent us from dreaming other kinds of dreams. Their weapons of colonization are no different to that faced by Nelson Mandela and those who struggled against racial apartheid: fear, intimidation, and violence. That is why I say, shame on the universities UK for its cowardly capitulation to the view that the right to manifest religion takes precedence over the right to gender equality. Shame on the universities UK for its pathetic attempts to cover up its indefensible stance by putting out nonsense that it was only trying to uphold equalities law. Yes, that is what they also said in defense of racial apartheid. Shame on the universities UK for capitulating at a time when millions of ordinary people around the world are ready to face torture and death, rather than compromise with profoundly authoritarian, misogynistic, homophobic, and anti-democratic forces. If ordinary people around the world can loudly and clearly say, your fatwa does not apply here anymore, why can't the universities UK? Today, on Human Rights Day, whilst the universities UK and others prevaricate and compromise their intellectual and moral integrity, We must resolve to stand by those who are waging struggles against religious fundamentalism. We must defend our right to freedom and equality by shouting loudly and clearly, "Fear is your weapon, but courage is ours. Our tradition, struggle, not submission."